From the heart of Maine, this is the DuView podcast.
All right, and welcome to this week's episode of the DuView podcast. I'm your host, Du, a.k.a. Ryan Dumont, and this week I am joined by one of my longest lifelong friends, buddy I've known for a long time, has a lot of different overlapping interests than me, and we hit it off many a year ago, and we've been friends ever since. My buddy Aaron Bernier. Aaron, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Greatly appreciated. I was thinking about this the other day when I asked you to come on, and I've known you the second longest out of any of our friends. I think we met back in like second grade or something like that at daycare.
Yeah.
We both went to Sanctuary East, which is out on the Ward Road in Augusta, almost basically in Windsor. We met there and really just kind of hit it off. And, when we talk about that time kind of fondly, you look back at we're not that old, but, in our mid-20s, but you look back at it.
We're getting there.
Yeah, well, we're getting there, don't worry. But, we ran around outside all the time. We were playing sports. We were playing make-believe games. We were doing this, that, flag football, whatever it might be. And it just really worked, along with our other friend who I, knew for maybe a year or two longer than you, Casey Bancroft. And, the three of us hung out and eventually came on to the formation of the rest of the friend group later on in high school. But, we really were the originals.
Oh, yeah. It was kind of like getting to know you and Casey. And then, I was in a scout troop already with some of my other friends that I'd known for quite some time, even at that point.
Right.
And at that point, it was kind of like joining the two together. After a little while, I know you two joined the same Scout troop.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we weren't in Cub Scouts with you guys, but
No.
we did eventually all join up in Boy Scouts, and we just happened to be in the other troop in town, and arguably the lesser troop in a lot of ways. Like, didn't go on as many trips, didn't really do a whole heck of a lot, and I just want to touch on that too, because Boy Scouts is a huge part of my upbringing. It's a huge part of our friend group. We probably wouldn't have had our friend group without Scouts, and just want to address that and say that, Boy Scouts isn't, like what people believe it to be on social media or believe it to be on,
not with us anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, like there's pedophilia and all this other crap, but like, in the fact that, everybody's in Scouts is stupid or gay or whatever, like all that crap. You know what I'm saying? I just want to address that.
Bunch of nerds.
And a bunch of nerds. And I mean, we are nerds, but that's beside the point. Just because you're right doesn't mean shit. But
right.
The fact of the matter being is that troop was so instrumental to our upbringing and our formation as people. We had great adult leaders: Tony Obie, my dad, your dad, Dana Antworth, Mr. Peterson, Dan Peterson. We had some great adult leaders that made it about us, and we ran the show. Really, though, we picked the trips, we set the menu.
We had to. Nothing would get done.
Right, exactly.
They wouldn't do anything for us, which I gotta say, really, helped us out. Really, looking forward, I mean, I had always been around. I mean, they made us do our own shopping, whole meal planning. So if you picked, you ate,
Dino nuggets and fries. Yeah, that one day they looked at us, man, and they're like, "Really, you guys are gonna do this?" And to prove a point, what did they do? They that big Dutch oven meal up at camp that year. I think they made like a turkey and like stuffing and potatoes. Like, hey guys, this is what you can do with like barely any effort.
They did something. I don't remember what it was, but it was something extravagant.
It was to prove a point.
And I want it to be known on the record that I was against the Dino Nuggets and the fries right from the get-go.
Oh man, yeah, no, but it was fun though, and like I said, we learned a lot and we had a lot of unique experiences. And again, that was my social life in a lot of ways, in like middle school and a little before that age, that was the majority of what I did.
Oh yeah, I mean, it got to a certain point at some point, along the way that we were doing, 2 trips a month.
Yeah.
I don't know. Remember, I mean, I think that was the summer we did Katahdin.
Yep.
Which was, awesome.
Yeah, that was a fantastic trip. we were real. You don't realize how small you are. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think back to, the things we've done then and now, like, yeah, like Katahdin, I guarantee you, it was a bit of a struggle for me. I mean, I had like an allergy attack or some ragweed bullshit about halfway up the mountain and couldn't breathe.
Oh, yeah.
And then I made Theo carry my pack because he decided to, not bring a pack or something like that. But,
yeah, I remember that. we definitely made fun of you for that one.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I mean, it was just part of the process, dude.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was a cool hike. I remember we had to do all kinds of these other little hikes
to prepare.
Prepare for it. I remember one of them was Saddleback, and we had to get up to the top, and it was super foggy that day. And every time you thought you hit a peak, and it really wasn't, you walk 20 feet farther, and you see the next hill, and it's like, oh, Christ! And so then you go up that one, and guess what?
There's look, there's another false peak. Yeah, I wasn't on that trip. I decided to do my Order of the Arrow ordeal that weekend instead.
Oh, yeah,
that sucked.
I think it was me, Casey, and I think Lucas too was on that one.
Yeah,
and that poor kid.
Oh yeah. Well, he
made it.
He was so proud that he made
ass.
it to the top of Katahdin too.
Yeah.
I remember him calling his parents and saying, "Hey, I made it."
That was awesome.
That's the type of shit you want to
Surprised
see.
he had service.
Well, you're on the highest point in Maine, Aaron. I think you'd be able to pick up some type of cell signal. Woo! Hey, man, it's a nice view.
Yeah.
Actually, well, when we rode up to the top, we rode to the top of Coburn Mountain last weekend when we were up snowmobiling, and we were able. If it was just a little bit more clear, it was just at the edge of the horizon. The cloud layer had kicked in because there was a front coming through, but you could almost see Katahdin from up there.
That's pretty cool.
I had never been up there before. Luckily, Casey and Josh took me up, and it was real nice. Trails were really nice to get up to and everything like that. But that being said, though, we climbed Katahdin. It was a great time and a lot of different memories, between scouts. We did a 50-mile canoe trip. That's the other big trip that I remember from scouts is 50-mile canoe trip. And I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it was a really, really, I can't describe the words that I use, and I'm sure that you'll use too, Aaron, just can't really describe the experience.
No, it was easy.
It was easy because we had so much water. It rained so much.
Unseasonable amount of rain going into it. We hardly had to paddle. It was more of a 50-mile float.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like like I said, we sailed 16 and a half miles the last day. Chizuncook Lake was sketchy. That crossing of the lake in the hurricane was not great.
No, it wasn't.
That was like War of the Worlds, man.
The night before, we all packed in like sardines to that little
Adirondack shelter. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a good time.
What was there, like 8 of us squeezed into that, like elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder?
No, there was no room.
It
kept us warm, I guess.
Right. Well, we put a tarp over the front of it, and our tents were so wet that we set them up but couldn't sleep in them.
Pretty much.
And and you know what? The savior of the trip, buddy, and you'll know it when I say it, the ShamWow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the backstory
on that. About that one.
The backstory on that was my dad had, and it wasn't even, I don't even think it was the actual ShamWow. It was like the original chamois. It was like the store brand ShamWow, not seen on TV. But that being said, the ShamWow ended up bailing everybody out. And in some cases, literally, because you get too much water in your canoe, ShamWow.
Wow.
Your tent, I'll be saying wow every time, buddy.
Oh, man.
You get your tent's too wet, you need to dry it out. I remember my dad going over the floor and the walls of the tent with the ShamWow and wringing it out. It would like get all the water out of the tent and help dry it out.
It worked pretty good. I was impressed.
Yeah. We gotta get more of those. We've kind of like let that slide. We gotta get back into ShamWows.
I know we did the same thing leading into that one. We did Katahdin.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Yep.
We had to do all these canoe trips ahead of time, and your own host here decided he wanted to go sideways into a set of rapids, and
did not work. Can confirm. Yeah, I knew that was gonna come up.
His eyes made it, about half the size of his head, and his dad just looked so unimpressed.
Yeah, he wasn't, because he ended up in the water too.
And that was the last time we ever gave Ryan the dry goods.
Yeah, they were wet goods after that. Well, to be fair to me, the packer that we had a big old cracked hole in the bottom, and so when that thing went in, dude, the regardless of how watertight the top was, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
But we did a trip to prepare for our 50-mile canoe trip, which, as if you've listened in before, was the West Branch of the Penobscot. But to prepare, as Aaron said, we did a bunch of little trips, and one of them being the Kennebec River. And there's a set of rapids. I'm pretty sure it's just north of Savet Steel.
Yeah,
or
not even all that far.
Yeah.
I could walk to it. I remember going down there fishing.
Yeah,
got poison ivy every time.
Yeah, it's not that far away, though, from civilization. But It was wet. You don't have the canoe turned the right way. Hey, it's a learning experience.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to do that again, and I haven't. Knock on wood. But that being said, buddy, speaking of canoeing, that reminds me of kind of our last real trip that we did as
Kind of like a last
technical.
hurrah.
Yeah, as technical as Boy Scouts before we all aged out.
Yep.
Because once you turn 18, you can no longer be a member of the Boy Scouts of America. But that being said, we went to the Moose River trip. I guess it's a loop, really.
Yeah.
Up in Jackman or in the surrounding areas
was
near
awesome.
Jackman. It was an awesome trip. The only thing I can complain about is the bugs, the mosquitoes and the black flies.
Yeah.
They had literally just probably hatched, and I think if you had an exposed area skin, Aaron, right,
Oh, yeah.
you got bit.
Everybody, because when you're canoeing, you're kind of sitting up forward in such a way, and we're all wearing bathing suits, I think,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So there's always there was an exposed strip of skin on just about everyone, right in their lower back. And
Basically,
so,
the tramp stamp area.
oh yeah, we got mosquito tramp stamps. That whole
Black
trip.
fly tramp stamps.
Oh,
I think Spencer Obi had it the worst.
He did.
Yeah.
He
It was
had
almost a design. You could trace it out.
Yeah, we should have taken a marker to it.
Definitely could have. But the thing that's unique about that, and the reason I say that trip's a loop, is because you can basically park your cars at one end, and with a lot of canoe trips, you need to have somebody shuffle vehicles from one end to
Yep.
the other because you don't come back to where you started. You end somewhere completely different. But with this Moose River trip, you start where you end,
Right, and that was nice,
and vice versa. You end where you start.
the whole caveat to that easiness was
Yeah,
the
well,
portages.
Yeah, there's what, two
There
or
was-
three?
there was
We
at least
skipped
3 of
one.
them.
We skipped one or two.
There was one of them that we
Jettisoned
half-
yeah.
half portaged. We didn't move the canoes. We unloaded the gear, just shuffled it over the hill
and sent them through the rapids.
and put them right down through the rapids. And that was cool. And there was one of them where there was actually a set of waterfalls, so we
Yep.
had to actually get out and do that one full. And then there was the other one where it was going from it was either Holub to Adian or Adian to Holub Pond.
Yeah. Yeah, we had
And
to switch bodies of water. Yeah.
that was 1.25 miles.
I would have been better off getting a rail car because there was that rare. I saw those. I know it's illegal, but those railroad tracks ran right along the portage route, dude. We could have had a railroad push car, throw all our canoes on it, and send it down.
Oh yeah, it would have been better if the trail was more maintained. The trail was just bouldery and there wasn't flat.
I remember our height differential really came into play there between you, me, and Jake.
Oh, yeah.
We were trying to lift the canoe, and I'm like, hands up, and I'm not really touching much.
Same thing with Jake. And then I know he got stuck with Tony at one point.
Yep.
our leader.
Yep, Tony Obi. Yep.
And then I think I had to switch out with him.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's just the if you can't can't hold up the canoe, you can't hold up the canoe, man.
Right. I think we made 3 or 4. We walked at least 4 miles each that day, just shuttling.
Oh yeah,
gear
it
from
wasn't just
one
a
place to the
one-time.
next.
Yeah, it wasn't just a one-time trip. It was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Canoes, gear, more gear.
People, more canoes, more gear, more people.
Oh yeah, and then I think we just paddled out to the nearest island with campsites that night and just
just camped it.
yeah, and we convinced Josh that we caught a lake chub.
Yeah.
And then we convinced him it was salmon. Put a bunch of seasoning on it, trying to play a joke on him. And he ate it and he loved it. So I mean, I don't know who the joke was really on, him or us.
I think both.
It was funny.
I forget that part. Yeah, no, that.
I just remember.
Yeah,
it just now.
that's funny. Yo, I mean, maybe Josh just has a taste for chub. Hey.
Oh jeez.
Anyway, that being said,
moving on.
Moving on. When we were finishing up that trip, though, it really hit me. It's the end of an era in a lot of ways, and it was because after that, I mean, we were right into high school, and life didn't really stop. It picked up exponentially from there, and that got us into high school. We played soccer together, track. Anything else? We were in Chisel Whistle. You were backstage. I was on stage, but it was great.
was a
coming
good time.
behind the curtain and getting to talk to you, or before going out, just shooting the shit with you.
I remember accidentally closing the curtain on someone.
Yeah,
It was during rehearsal, I believe, but I about knocked somebody over with a curtain.
I heard about that. Because all you hear is noise, 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 bang, bang, bang. Almost hit someone getting taken out with a curtain. Oh,
Oops.
that's funny. Yeah, but when we were in high school, we had the formation of the Skitter Crew. We were introduced to the Newboard Brothers, and really solidified our friend group, and really kind of just ran with it from there, buddy. And it's been nothing but good memories and, fun ever since. I attended your, mentioned I had 4 weddings this past summer.
Yeah.
Attended your wedding. You were the first wedding of 2021 that I attended.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see you and Delia, tie the knot and, start your new journey with your lives. It's a real unique experience, a real interesting place we're at now,
Oh yeah, it's hard to believe that at one point, we were just, running around a daycare.
Yeah.
Now, next thing I know is, half of our group is either married,
Engaged to be married, or
and right, one of them's got a kid on the way.
kid on the way. Yeah, Josh and Sam are having a kid soon. Next couple months, right? Something like that. Yeah,
a couple months away.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. Josh is gonna be a dad. I still haven't wrapped my head around that.
I don't think he is either.
I don't. Yeah, probably not. Well, we were talking about snowmobiling. I said, "Oh, we'll do a big county run in March." He goes, "I don't think I can go that far from home in March." I said, "Oh yeah, that's right. I forget. My bad." But it's.
I'm proud of him. He remembered.
Yeah, right. And I can't say how thankful I am for you guys because frankly, high school was not the easiest time for me, especially that first year, and having a good place to land, so to speak, with good people that cared, in their own ways and that are like to have fun and have overlapping interests. It really, you guys mean the world to me, and I don't just say that lightly. I know you know that, but even though you guys piss me off some days,
I'm sure it goes all the way around.
It does. It does. I know it does. But, I love you guys, and it's just it's great that we are so fortunate to have really what we have in terms of friend group and, to be able to I mean, I wouldn't be up here, saying, the Skidder Crew's the best in the world, prove me wrong, if I didn't truly believe that. So and we all love the outdoors. We all like getting out, and that's really, where a lot of our enjoyment and time is spent when we're together. If it's not, and back in the day it was playing Xbox, during school weeks, and now when we can really get together, on weekends and stuff, we're outdoors. Like we're in just a couple days, we're going up to camp. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll be up at camp, for a few days, all of us. It's always good to go up to our, yearly. Try that again. Yearly guys trip, up to Antworth Camp on Sebec Lake for the winter.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
No, that's a trip that I've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you were doing it even long before I was.
Yeah, before we did it with Scouts and everything. I mean, it was usually around President's Day weekend.
Yeah.
I think my brother started going up when he was old enough.
Yeah.
I don't even remember when we started doing that trip, but I remember going up there, just me, my dad, the Antworth boys, and their dad.
Yeah.
And then I think their grandfather showed up occasionally.
Yeah, Howard, yeah.
But now, I mean, it moved into scouting. We would do winter camping up there where only the adults were allowed to sleep inside. But then I decided I got a little sneaky and broke my leg so I could sleep inside that year.
Yeah, you finessed that pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
I also witnessed that. That's, we're riding up the chairlift, and we went skiing at Lost Valley with, with your grandfather, and we were going up, and I'm going up the chair, and I look down, and I see Aaron. He's
Just
going
a
down the
yard
hill,
sale.
going down the hill, and he hits a bump, and he's no longer standing.
Yeah.
And we get down, and he's like, "Oh yeah, something's wrong," and we ended up at Maine General that day.
Yeah. The skis were supposed to come off, but instead they
The
just
releases,
they didn't release, and they twisted my leg around.
Yeah. Oh, I remember, dude. I remember.
All the rest is history.
I remember riding with you on the bus, to after school and whatever, having to help you up the stairs and carry your crutches and shit. It
was great.
It was a good time. But, that the real focus, though, like I said, Aaron, is the outdoors and our love of the outdoors. And so I know you, and I mean, we've joked around about this. You're kind of one of your nicknames is the Master Fisherman.
Yeah.
And that came after actually out of a year of going up to camp, and we were walking through the woods doing some stream fishing, and the mosquitoes were so bad, the bugs were so bad. You're over there just casting away, having a grand old time. I'm over there getting eaten alive,
I think it was you and Kevin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Kevin and I were getting snacked on by the bugs, but and in that moment, a sense of comedic humor, but also in the sense that Aaron just really loves fishing. And so when did you really fall in love, with fishing, Aaron?
I really can't put a date to it. I've been doing it, as long as I can remember, really. I remember, begging my old man to go fishing down at my aunt's camp just down the road on Weber Pond.
Yep.
And, I mean, that's really kind of where I fell in love with it so much. I mean, I remember going out even when even younger, doing a little stream fishing and stuff with my dad.
Yep.
But it really, I got to say, it comes back to that camp. I'd spend summer days out there. Had to like beg Dad some days because my dad's a deer hunter. He's not much of a fisherman.
Right.
He likes it, but it's not it's not his cup of tea. If he could deer hunt all year, I'm sure he would.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I just grew up fishing there and
Yeah. I mean,
and loved it.
I've fished with you down there when when you're on head to camp, and Weber's the type of pond. I honestly think it's awesome to start fishing on
Oh, it
because
is.
it really helps build your confidence because it's a pond where you'll do pretty well.
Yeah,
You'll get some action.
More often than not, you'd do better than you'd have more good days there than bad.
Yeah. Which
And
in
so-
fishing is
And
awesome.
you have good potential to catch some nice fish. I remember when I was real young, I caught a brown trout there, and for some reason it scared me, and it swam under the dock, and I would not swim off of that dock for like 5 years at least because I was afraid of that fish. And
Oh, yeah.
I was so young to really, too
Oh,
young
yeah.
to comprehend it. But
Right.
I mean, there's some good fish in there. There's all kinds of opportunity in that lake between cold water fish and some warm water fish too. So.
Yep. Yeah, no, and I it's funny you say that, being afraid of the fish. When I was in Hawaii, we went not scuba diving, but snorkeling in like the reefs, and I think all of second or third grade. So you see these rainbow fish and weird shit moving around, you're like scared of it. So I would like stay away from the reefs and stuff like that. And now thinking back on it, it's like, damn, I wish I was down there with my GoPro, recording this and like getting near it. And it's funny, those little things when when you're younger. But that being said, we're in the middle of hard water fishing right now.
Oh,
It's winter, so ice fishing season is definitely in. So what would you say is unique about ice or hard water fishing that versus fishing in the warm months, other than just like the temperature?
Right. Well, I mean, I think it's in its name. Even you're on ice.
Yep.
You're able to kind of walk around on the ice and target fish, and the fish like they're different, and then
They respond differently, act
right.
differently.
They're just they have different habits. Like some fish, in the summertime when the water's warm and there's low oxygen and stuff like that, they're out deep off of spring holes where it's cooler, where the water holds oxygen better, and then in the wintertime they come up.
Yep. So they're higher up in the. You don't have to be down towards the bottom. What I'm
Well,
saying,
then that's
or-
the funny thing about that is depending if that's for cold water fish, they'll be up shallow, but the warm water fish move deep
Yep.
where it's warmer. So
right.
it's really just it's its own kind of beast. You have to target things differently than you normally would.
Right. So you have to have a different strategy in a lot of ways too.
Oh yeah, where you're catching something in the summer isn't necessarily where you're going to find them in the wintertime. Like you see all kinds of big bass in the shallows.
Yep.
In the summer, and then you go target the shallows for bass. But if you're on a lake that has trout, you catch trout more often than you won't.
Right.
And then, I mean, pickerel are kind of everywhere, but they really frequent, shallow water and stuff like that. But it's unique in its sense that, you're standing on the water and you're able to target these fish in a completely different way. It's almost more precise.
Right.
Maybe not so much, accurate to where the fish are, but you're definitely more precise in where you want to fish. If you want to fish that one particular 30 feet off to the right and 20 feet, up,
Right.
or whatever geographic coordinates, you can do that versus like casting from a boat or from the shore.
Right.
You're not quite so precise in where you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, you could even, if you have good luck at a certain latitude and longitude, you could literally save that latitude and longitude and go back there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I find that I got a few places where I go to fish where I find that in the wintertime that I go after white perch often.
Yep.
That they frequent this one 15, 20 foot square, and I'll go back because I have that location saved.
Right.
And I'll go back there more often than not and set up in that same area, and I'll have luck just about every time. But then you go 15, 20 feet away from that, and
Nothing.
the fishing just drops off.
Wow. That's crazy in a lot of ways, because that's almost using like a real scientific, like you said, really like a data-driven approach versus just cruising up in the boat and throwing a line in the water, And I mean, everybody does it a little bit differently, I'm sure. I mean, some people take it more seriously than others, and I know like you have a pretty cool little setup. I know you have a pop-up.
Yeah,
Don't you? Yeah.
I got a pop up. I haven't used it a lot lately because it's a little small. It's good for by myself, but
Yep.
more often than I'm not. I'm I'm out with some friends and all that. They
Yeah.
all have bigger pop-ups, so we'll just use those. And
Yep. Well, you have that little like radar or like
Yeah,
ice fish finder. Can you describe that? I just think that's a cool tool.
Yeah, I got a Humminbird Helix, which
Yep.
is a sonar unit that allows me to see the depth, and then it'll bounce, it'll ping off of fish and stuff like that, and you can
Yep.
kind of get a reading of, where the fish are at the moment and stuff like that, if you, are able to find it. And by no means does having one of these guarantee you fish.
Disclaimer right there.
Right. That's the biggest thing. It's like, oh, it'd be so much easier with it. And it can be if you're using it properly,
Right.
I use it, sometimes it's just a very expensive sounder, or a depth finder.
Yep.
And other days I'll be sitting there jigging off from it. And,
Right.
And it's pretty cool because, I've been jigging in 30 feet of water and seeing nothing on the graph, which is like the screen, because it looks like a graph like you'd see in high school.
Yep.
And stuff like that in math class. But you'll see nothing on there, and all of a sudden you just see this, like, depending on the size of the fish, it affects
Right.
the color of the mark. And you'll see this, like, red line shoot up from the bottom, and you can just see it just come right at your jig. And versus, you'd be jigging there, and you could just reel up right before you do that, right before that fish comes up, and you'd have no idea.
Right. Yeah. Right. And like you said, if you use it properly, it can give you an edge.
Oh, yeah,
in a lot
it
of
definitely
ways.
it makes jigging so much more fun. Growing up, I never jigged ice fishing. I found it boring because, you can't see what's going on.
Right.
I had hardly ever caught anything jigging because I just, I'd do it for 10, 15 minutes and then I'd just quit because I get bored.
Right.
Because I also had no idea what I was doing,
Well, that's always part of it.
Right. And then I went out with a friend of mine on Mount Desert Island, and we went out looking for some lake trout with that sonar unit. And he kind of got me hooked on it because, you'd watch those fish come up, and we caught several nice lakers, and I had a blast.
Yeah. Hey, that's sometimes all it takes, buddy. The fact of the matter being is that if you enjoy it, you'll love it regardless of good, bad, and different, good tools, bad tools, and definitely can tell you love that. Do you prefer hard water or
I honestly, I gotta say, I prefer ice fishing.
Yeah, you do?
I don't know what it is, but I look forward to it every year. I like being able to walk along the ice.
Right.
You drill a hole through the ice, and it's I don't know what draws me to it. I really can't explain it. It's just I just have so much more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, if that's what it is. Like I said, that there are I'm partial to, having a nice little. Well, back when we had the little bit bigger boats, when folks had bigger boats before those broke down and were sold off or whatever, that was always a good time to go out, especially on Weber Pond, June, July, after work, it's still warm, the sun's still up, and you get that nice end of the day, I'm partial to that. But also ice fishing's a great time. It's a huge part of winter in our state. It's a huge part of our culture, and we did ice fishing derby last year to benefit your brother's graduation class there, and I think you guys are going to be doing. I won't make it this year, but you guys are going to be doing that again.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that'll be on Cobbessy. If anybody checks that out, I think that's in March 6th or something like that.
A
couple weekends from now. Yeah, great time. Also a great cause. So even when you're not working. You're still you're working with fish, and even when you're working with fish. So
Right.
if you go into detail, what do you do for your day job, buddy?
So I a really easy way to state I'm a salmon farmer off the coast of Maine here, and it's not a bad job. What we do is I'm growing the fish that you find in Hannaford.
Yep.
And there's all kinds of people that are against it and for it, and so I'm not looking to get into anything like that.
But we don't need to get into the politics of fish.
Oh, it's super political.
Yeah. Everything is, but
in fish farming.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But overall, what I'm doing every day is I go out in a boat about 4 miles offshore.
Yep.
Go out to the salmon pens, and right now my site that I work at doesn't have any fish, and we're just kind of cleaning up, getting stuff ready for the next year. Or for June is when we're going to get more.
Yep.
But we're out there, on a normal day in the summertime, we go out there, we make sure all the cages, are all set, and there's, look for, take and eat, potential mortalities out of the cages.
Yep.
And then the biggest thing I do is I wash the nets. And so I run a fairly large and expensive pressure washer that walks around the side of the cages.
Yep.
And it drops a a washer head that has has 4 spinning discs on it, and it cleans like the kelp and the seaweed off the side of the cage.
That must be pretty powerful then, because that stuff can get
it's a like 3,500, roughly 3,000 psi, but it can go up to 4,000. But we don't run it that high.
Right. That'll take the pain off.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It can. My first summer doing it, I got so bored, and I really, didn't care for it. But the more I do it, the more it's just kind of I get to. I mean, I hang out on a cage, which isn't particularly good for your back, but
right.
but I hang out on a cage, and I watch, just see the birds around. I've watched eagles,
that
eat
far
seagulls.
out, like 4 miles out. Yeah.
We're on islands. And stuff.
Yep. Gotcha.
And so there's the eagles. They'll eat all kinds of, because a lot of seagulls flock to our farm.
Yep.
And
naturally,
I've seen
right.
eagles eat the seagulls, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's what people don't realize about the eagles, man. They're vicious sons of guns, dude. I remember that time we were another canoe story. We were canoeing down to Swan Island, and there were those ducklings, and the mama duck and the eagle was trying to pick off the ducklings.
Oh yeah, they'll do that. They're heavily predatory, raptors. They're kind of different than with hawks in the way they act. They don't really dive. They're more of a pouncing bird. But no, I mean it's kind of cool getting to see them every day, because there's like 3 or 4 of them that hang out. And actually, I don't think I was on the Swans Island trip.
Oh, you weren't?
No, I don't believe so. So
anyway,
I missed out on that. But I mean eagles. They got to eat,
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, most definitely. And I mean, it even goes back, a little historical blurb here. Some of the founding fathers, specifically Ben Franklin, was a little weary of using the bald eagle as America's, symbol because of, well, it's a predator. And I mean, not to get into it, but how right he was. That being said, moving on.
He wanted the turkey.
Yeah. Hey, I mean,
I just stood behind it.
He probably didn't like the bald part.
Right. Felt a little attack.
Well, the front was a little worn down.
Oh yeah.
So obviously you enjoy it, but what is it like working on the ocean? I mean, you have a different view of things, different job site than a lot of us that live in Central Maine. You're right on the coast.
I mean, I don't have the luxury most days of like of a roof or heat.
Gotcha.
Usually.
Yep.
So I'm more
You're
often
at the
than
mercy
not,
of the ocean.
Right, we're at the the mercy of the ocean. There's definitely days like this whole week here. I took today and tomorrow off, but yesterday was the only day. Wednesday was the only day we were actually really able to make it out because of the weather. The previous couple days were just really cold and windy, so it would have made it unsafe for the boat, because the water would hit the windshield and freeze up. And,
oh geez, yeah.
And then the like you said, the swells. I mean, I've seen some pretty good sized, waves out there. Where inland, you get 15, 20 mile an hour winds one day, but on the coast, that usually translate to us getting 35, 40 mile an hour winds, and that's just too much. But
yeah.
I mean, the bad days are bad, but the good days are something else.
Right.
Because in the summertime, I'd go out there, I'd still be wearing base layers and in July and
you're out
August.
There with your like wool knit hat in July. I've seen you. You've sent pictures of And we were giving you crap for it, but you got to think about the environment and the conditions you're in.
It's cold out there, actually.
Yeah.
I remember coming in, going. Some days it's a high of 55 on the water, just because that's the water temp.
Right.
If you get any wind, it really cools the air down.
Oh yeah.
And so you get into the harbor when it's like 95 degrees out, and you just start to die because it's so damn hot.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely an experience. And I mean, my limited experience with coastal living. Like I said, as you know, my grandfather lived down in Booth Bay Harbor, and so I had a little bit of experience, on the water and whatever, but not anything damn near what you do.
Yeah.
And that being said, buddy, do you like living on the coast, and how does it compare to, as you used to live in Augusta and the, Central Maine? I know you went to school down in, down east, and you've really kind of, from what I can tell, fallen in love with that area.
Oh yeah. I love down east. I wouldn't consider myself living in the down east right now, because I mean, I live out towards Ellsworth.
Right,
which,
you're right.
In my opinion, down east doesn't start till Washington County.
That's fair.
But, everyone has their own, way of thinking about it. And
you're down east of me.
Right. And so I love it down there, to be honest with you. I like being on the coast. It's cooler. The summers are cooler, and the winters are warmer, because we get the the ocean breeze more often.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I love Augusta. You know, a little piece of me is always going to be in Augusta, and like, you know, I can say the same thing for Machias, but
Right.
I don't ever see myself going back to Machias. It's too far removed, you know, too far away from family, and Augusta. I like Augusta. I think I like the remoteness even more. You know, there's a little
Yep.
town out my way that I would love to own a home in, and it's Orland, and it's quiet, it's peaceful. I mean, you kind of got a little bit of everything. You know, you're 10 minutes from the ocean, but
Yep.
it's set up. Orland's kind of like an area like kind of like hills, almost mountains. A couple mountains you can hike, and beautiful glacier lakes in there, and it's like a little hidden gem.
Yeah, it sounds right up your alley, buddy.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
That being said, you know, when you look at the two areas, what makes it different? Is it just the quaintness, or what is it? You know, just
So-
as someone who, you know, I didn't just live in Augusta. I've lived in Skowhegan, and you know, I've lived more west and central Maine than I ever really lived on the coast. So
Yeah, I've spent enough time. I'd like to think because I've spent a summer up in Rangeley.
yep, yeah, you
I
did,
got to live
right?
up there for then I got to live in central Maine, and now I'm living on the coast and looking around, and I mean it's the topography is different. You know, the flora and the fauna
Mhm.
can be different. You
Yep.
know, we go from an area, and there's a lot more like black bears down east than you see out in central Maine. Not
Right.
to say they're not here in central Maine because they definitely are, but
Yeah,
it's nice. You know, there's the coast has less people too, which
Yep.
as you go west, you get the same thing, but.
right.
The only downside to being down east really is that in the summertime I'm really close to Bar Harbor or the Mountain Desert Island, but everyone down where I'm from just calls it the island,
Yep.
and or down where I'm living. It's not where I'm from.
Yeah,
I mean-
right. Yeah, I get you.
You live down there long enough, it starts to seep into you. I swear.
Oh yeah, I know. It is.
And so it's quiet. The people are usually pretty good, except the summertime. You get all the tourists, and half of them just want to get where they're going. They don't care how, and
Yep.
I could care less about the tourists. I don't particularly love them, but
Yeah, no, I feel you, buddy.
they put money down there.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, really, when it comes to tourism in Maine. And that's what I've been saying for the longest time, buddy, is that
You need it to survive.
we gotta get away from just that. You gotta diversify Maine's economy a little bit, as COVID showed us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
When you can't always rely on something being there. And I'm sorry, I know that sucks, but you can't. It's just like saying, oh, we're gonna, there's only so much gold left, and we're gonna, make everything we need out of gold. Like that,
Right.
right? Something that's finite.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me.
Hopefully that's all coming down, but it kind of like and it even did something for us too on the salmon pens.
Yeah.
Because it affected COVID affected how much people were buying. It affected the markets.
right. Yeah.
Things got all kinds of wonky with
Oh yeah.
harvest schedules and stuff, where normally it'd be a fairly succinct season of harvest, where it took us from August into November just to harvest out all of our fish, just because the market was so weird.
Yeah. No, and
So-
I feel that. I mean, it was funny while you were working harvesting the fish. I was putting them up on the shelf more or less, because
Yeah.
at the time I was working at Hannaford.
Yeah, there's a chance that those could have been our fish, because
Yeah.
all of our fish from Maine, because Hannaford doesn't want any fish that come out of Canada.
Yeah, of course.
And so they get our fish out, and they get shipped. They might say a product of Canada, but it actually did come from Maine, because it ships from Maine through processing plants and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's ice bath all the way.
Yep.
Flash freezing, whatever.
Yep.
And it's just a big cycle, and it's kind of neat, looking around, seeing something that you put on in the shelves, but
Right.
I don't see myself doing it for the rest of my life.
Right.
I'd
Yeah.
like to get out of that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's with anything. Take the advice of our mentor John Millett.
Yeah.
Every so many years, reinvent yourself. I mean, that's the name of the game, buddy. I've done it.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah. You got to survive. That's the name of the game in a lot of ways. So, what's the speaking of fish? Working with fish, catching fish. What's the biggest fish you've caught?
Oh, I mean, I got to say, it was last summer I caught a pretty close to like a 28-inch, striped bass. Wasn't quite there at the 28. I've definitely lost some bigger ones,
Yep.
unfortunately, but Those are probably my biggest fish. I'm gonna get a whole list of fish and my biggest ones out of each of those.
Right.
But it's
I'm just talking like overall.
overall.
Yeah,
I'd
like a
say it'd be a
striper.
striped bass. Yeah.
Yeah, and you catch those down in the Kennebec over in Bath or down and around here.
So
or...
I caught them in a spot that I have down east.
Well,
I'm not gonna get too
right. No, I'm not saying give
too
away
specific.
your secret spot. No, I obviously wouldn't do that. That's sacrilege. I wouldn't ask you to do that
because I don't see too many people there, and I catch quite a few. So I'm gonna keep
well,
that.
I just know that you've done some time up here. Fishing in the Kennebec with Jake, and you used to work down at Popham, so you did some.
Popham was a good time.
Some
I
time
actually
down there.
I had never caught a striped bass the entire time I was working there. I went down there one year with a friend of mine.
Yep.
And I was just trying to catch the mackerel to bring them home because I like them. I like them with tacos and stuff. But I was just trying to get hold of them, and I handed my rod off to my buddy who was standing next to me, and I was like, "Here, catch some mackerel." He's like, "All right." Hooks into a striper, and I was like, "Well, crap, give me that rod back. Maybe there's more." I caught more mackerel, and I was like, "All right, here you go, catch the mackerel." And sure enough, he caught another stripe. He did it to me 3 times that day in a matter of about 15 minutes.
That's funny.
I was livid.
Yeah,
I mean, I was happy for him, but
right.
I couldn't catch a striper for the life of me until more recently.
Right.
But
that's too funny.
Oh man.
Shoot. Well, what's your favorite fish, buddy?
That's a hard question.
That's a loaded question. I'm sure there's so many different fish out there, man.
I could get into favorite warm water, favorite cold water.
Right.
But it's really kind of a toss up, and I think it depends on the day. When you catch me.
Right.
It really got to say it goes in between Arctic char, which are a pretty rare fish to find, especially these days in Maine, and then landlocked salmon. They're both really cool fish, but I'd have to say char would probably take the cake because they're such a cool fish where you can find even in the state, in several different ponds. The fish aren't going to look the same, just because they can adapt really, really easily to the water and their feeding habits. You find some fish that only get 6 inches long and their mouth is kind of downturned for feeding on the bottom, or you can find some in Maine that are 16, 18 inches long that look like they're ready to eat other fish.
Right.
And it's just kind of cool how they adapt to the pond that they're in, and they're so fragile too.
Adapt to their environment, buddy. Yeah, no, most definitely. And we got to get you up next time we go up to my family camp up in Aroostook County. We got to get you. We got to get you up to Square Lake, buddy. The salmon in there are unbelievable. But it's not easy to get to. The only way you can get to that lake is if you take the logging roads or the 4-wheeler trail.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to know how to get there.
Those remote spots are always fun.
Yeah, I mean, just salmon fishing up in the county is special. Eagle Lake, Square Lake, Cross Lake, I think is the other one that the 3 that are close to each other.
Yeah.
All of those are great fishing.
Yeah, where we're going this weekend here is
Slowback.
It's Slowback. Last year wasn't too bad for salmon though. We actually kind of figured out where to be, and we got 6 or 7 of them in a day, which is almost unheard of for us.
Yep.
But granted, before that we had never left the front of the camp, and that year we finally did.
Right. Yeah, going down towards the other end of the lake. Right.
Right. And the fish in there are really cool. They're really just a gorgeous fish, And I got another place out down east too that I really, really love fishing for salmon. Both of them are kind of slower, but you get some really pretty fish, more often than not.
Yep. Yeah, and you've done a little bit of, I guess you could call it Maine celebrity fishing here. You've appeared on a couple outdoor YouTube channels and stuff like that.
Really, just one channel.
Just one, okay.
But my friend Jesse, he has a YouTube channel, and he's doing actually fairly well for himself. I think he's pushing 19,000 subscribers, which is
awesome,
which is great.
Not an easy feat to accomplish.
No,
either,
not at all.
As I know O2.
I think when I met him, he was at like 7,000, and I don't know what he's been doing. I know I've been trying to try to get a thing together with you two at some point.
Yeah,
maybe
that'd be awesome.
Maybe I can even convince him to come down here and kind of give you a chat on what it's like, starting from the bottom and going up.
Yeah, that'd be wicked. Yeah.
I mean, he's the one who got me into fishing with the sonar units.
Yep.
I've learned a lot from him, and he's learned a lot from me because I messaged him on Instagram. I was like, hey, you want to go duck hunting? And that's just kind of how it started. And him and we go fishing all the time now.
Yep.
I haven't been in his videos recently because every time I go with him, he's just not filming, which is kind of nice because you don't have to. There's no pressure. There's no filters either.
Yeah. No, most definitely. Right. It's a whole different atmosphere, right? When you're out to capture content.
It is and it isn't. You know,
Yeah.
the best content really just comes from, you know, making it seem almost as natural as possible. You know, there's
yeah.
always camera talking and stuff like that, but
Right.
like almost the best bet is like pretending the camera's not there, and then that's how you get some of the funniest things.
Right.
I know, like the first time I went out with him, he got like there's a small clip of me like running down the lake with my ski pants like half on because I just had a flag, you know. And there's other times where I just miss it off the camera, but you know I just absolutely just fall on my face here and there
On the ice.
Oh yeah, you get some funny moments.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's when the cameras turn on, right? And then if you had to, pick a dream fishing trip, where would you go, buddy? What would be your dream fishing trip?
Actually, that's pretty easy. I've always wanted to make it up towards Greenland. I want to get out to Greenland and fish some of the sea run Arctic char that they have. They get pretty good size, nothing like too crazy, but if you catch them in their spawning colors and you get a nice male, I mean, those fish will be about as fluorescent orange. It's like one of the only times you'll see that color naturally in the wild.
Right.
I mean, you'll see in a completely orange fish, which is, it's cool, and I don't know how else to say. I mean, it's a really cool fish. I know that they do like a lot of fly fishing for them up there. And
yep, I didn't know fly fishing was big in Greenland. That's something.
There's really nobody. I mean, there's people there.
All
but
three people, right?
Right. And most of the people up there are outfitters, but it's really big for Arctic char.
Yeah,
they have a big fishery out there, and I'm pretty sure Atlantic salmon. You can go up there and fish them too if you catch it the right time of the year, because that's one of the last few places that has a really significant run, other than Canada.
Now, is Arctic char, is that more of like a white fish or like more like a pink color like salmon?
So they're cold water. There's some on it. So everything's kind of like based off of like names, with the genus and the family, blah blah blah.
Phenotype, genotype. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
that's genetics, but
yeah, whatever. Hey, I took the bare minimum of science, so
yeah, I know.
You get what you get.
And so their genus, which is kind of like it's closer than a family, but you have it's Salvelinus, which is the same. It's in the same genus as like brook trout, lake trout.
So they're in like they're in the trout family,
right?
Yep.
Yes, and yeah, they're in the trout family. They're pretty close to brook trout and lake trout and
Gotcha.
Bull trout.
So those must be
that
must be a beautiful fish.
Oh, they're incredible. If you ever have a chance to look one up, I would.
Well,
like I said,
I'll just tag along with you to Greenland and solve
Yeah.
all my problems.
There you go. Be a good time.
Yeah, that would be. I would love something like that. I mean, A, I love traveling to new places, and B, I mean, that is an area that northern Canada and the subarctic are fascinating places for me. I want to get to Iceland too.
I'd love to get out there as well at some point in my life.
We'll travel, buddy. We'll get there. We'll get there one of these days. But that being said, buddy, what do you see? You're talking about, looking forward. What do you think of your plans are in the limited future looking forward?
Well, I'm currently right now I'm just trying to get a little bit of money underneath me. I'd like to get into a house here sooner than later, because renting sucks.
Preach. I can confirm that. I did that for my first year out of school, and
yeah, I've been doing it for a while now.
There's a reason I haven't gone back. Yeah, no, yeah, you have. Yeah, you have.
Yeah. The problem is you. Oh, goodness gracious!
Don't choke on me.
Shut up.
911 is not on speed dial.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's renting. You just dump a bunch of money, and you get nothing out of it. But I'd like to get into a house somewhere a little bit more permanent. Make payments on something tangible.
Right. Right, and something that's actually yours,
Right.
And I mean, especially with you've got so much outdoor gear and stuff. And,
oh my God,
cleaning.
I could fill a shed right now.
Oh, I'm sure you could.
As much as I'm a fisherman, I'm also fairly big into bird hunting. So I have all kinds of turkey gear, and I have all kinds of duck, gear, and my garage is. I'm not quite ashamed of it, but there's like a corner in my garage that's just straight up all waterfowl gear.
Yeah, hey, I mean that's your love, buddy. I mean,
right, and I get a lot of
But what I was getting at is just be nice for you to have I could see you the type of guy either in your garage or a shed or something. You have
I need something.
Your cleaning station for your for what you catch or kill. It's
I really gotta give a shout out to my wife in this one, because we have where we're living right now has a fairly large counter.
Yep.
And
she's good with you.
Yeah, I don't know how. I go up there. I don't know how I got this situation going, but
Yeah.
I bring my granted I first and foremost I clean the counters, I disinfect very well.
Yeah. You're not
Get a
just leaving
vacuum on
pieces parts
standby, but I mean I'm able to bring my birds up there after a duck hunt
Yep.
and you clean them on the counter. More often than not, I'm usually alone in the house when I'm doing this, but she's well
Right.
aware because I mean we've had conversations, with her in the room sitting on the couch and I'm just in the kitchen,
doing your
just
thing,
doing my thing.
Yeah.
But I think half of that comes due to the fact that she just likes to eat the birds that I
Right.
bring home. So
I mean, everything I've had that you've cooked has been delicious, so I'm sure.
oh yeah,
that,
that's the second. That's that kind of gets into what I want to do in the future. Is,
Yeah.
I like what I'm doing. I like working with fish. It's cool.
Yep.
And it's not quite exactly what I want to do with fish. I mean, I'm gonna be, at some point here. My goal is within the next year. I'd like to go into guide school.
Yep.
Get my guide's license and stuff like that.
Could definitely see you doing that. Down east or east, down where you are now, or is there specific region you'd like to guide in?
It all depends what I'm guiding for, because right now,
Right.
I mean, I'm a big turkey hunter, and I'd love to guide people turkey hunting.
Yeah.
And all of my turkey land is down central Maine. That's where I know. That's
Right.
where I know the best. But
Right.
I'm learning it down east. I'm starting to get fairly more successful out there.
Right.
And then, and then fishing down east would be really easy to guide people. And there's me, and I know my friend Zach and my other friend Jesse. There, we're all looking into getting our guides licenses and stuff like that. Just so we plan to kind of like bounce off each other too.
Yeah.
Help each other out the best we can.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want to get into after this, start, slowly building myself up in that way, maybe own some sort of like tackle shop, guide shop
service,
or whatever, guide
yeah.
service,
Yeah. I mean, there's
do a lot of fishing gear and
there's a market for it, buddy.
Oh, there
Especially
is.
here. I mean, I saw even when we were out snowmobiling, someone guiding people on the trails.
yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, there's something for everything. If you really want to get into it, there's always
Yep.
somebody who wants to do it. And I enjoy taking people out. I love taking people out for the first time.
Yeah.
It's like pulling teeth. I've tried to get my friend Jake to come out turkey hunting with me, and I'm giving him shit on this because he needs to hear it.
Yeah, come on, Jake.
Yeah, right. Jeez, get your fucking priorities straight.
Get your thumb out of your ass, Jake. Come on.
I've been trying to get him to come turkey hunting with me for years, and he
Yeah.
just hasn't done it. And I've been successful with everybody.
Well,
not everybody.
I haven't been out yet.
No.
We'll work on that.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Well, I just finally took hunter safety last year. So
Right? Yeah, you're getting there.
I got to the game a little bit late, but
Yeah, and you got yourself a new shotgun. And
yeah, that's I did. Yeah, I
you were supposed to come out duck hunting, and you missed out because I mean it was a crazy season for me this year.
Work, dude.
Oh, I know.
Work. I've been so busy. We've been busy, and it's
I feel ya.
that and this and just everything else that's gone on. The holiday season was definitely a busy one for me. Or even like October to when I saw you when we went hunting for Casey's bachelor party.
Yeah, that was
After whitewater rafting when we went up there and did that, and we were the only one. I will brag about this again. We were the only ones to get a partridge.
Yeah.
Like I said, no more soonly did I can't even talk. No more did I put the truck in park than you were out of the truck.
Ready to
getting the
go.
bird. Yeah, it was
Oh,
it was impressive. I mean, it had to be that quick because that thing was ready to go right back into the bush.
It was spooked.
Yep.
I think it's seen a lot of people. I mean, there was a lot of people on the roads. It was a really bad early season for birds. I mean,
Yep.
for partridge, anyways, because I went out a bunch. I wouldn't say a bunch. I went out a good handful of times, and I only, came away with 2 of them. One of them I killed with my shotgun there, and the other one I was just driving home from that trip, and I had one fly out, and I was in a rental car, and
Right.
and it killed itself off the side of the rental car, put a nice dent, so I had to pay for that. Wasn't worth the bird, mind you. Bird
Right.
tasted great, but
yeah.
that's not the way I would do it.
Caliber used.
Yeah.
Jetta.
Yeah, 2021 Volkswagen Jetta.
Volkswagen Jetta.
Oh man.
Yeah, so we're gonna be going up to camp. Well, actually, you're gonna be going up to camp a little bit quicker than I. I got to finish out the work week, but we're gonna be we're gonna be going up to Antworth Camp here. What's your favorite part about going up to camp with the boys?
Oh man, it's like I said earlier. It's something I've done since I was younger. I mean, I always look forward to this trip. The best thing is really because I mean, at this point in our lives, the group of us, my favorite thing used to be the fishing. I used to go up there. I mean, slow, but it was always a good time fishing
Right.
with friends. But now, since we're all kind of moving away, doing our own thing, I know there's a good handful of people that are still around Augusta, but, we just had another friend of ours move down to Massachusetts within, the last couple months.
Yeah.
And so I don't hardly see him anymore. I mean, I didn't hardly see him before. Now I see him even less.
Right, yeah. I mean, I've seen him twice since he moved, and that just because of snowmobiling. I've
Yeah,
seen Casey twice, and it's Stu's in New Hampshire. And,
Yeah. And so the thing I look forward to most, I got to really say, is just kind of seeing everyone, getting everyone back up there. And
in the same place, under the same roof for more than a day.
Something that we've always done, it's fun, get to hang a weekend, kind of catch up, rag on each other a little bit, you don't want to be the first person to fall asleep like always.
Yeah, well,
that
comes with its own territory.
Yeah. And so, it's always a good time, there's good people up there.
Yep.
There's always a little bit of bickering, but it's always something to laugh at, about.
Oh, yeah.
Laugh about afterwards.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. It's nothing that's too permanent either.
No, it's like I said, it's bickering. It's about as far as it gets, but it's always, funny. It's always funny to, to make fun of the people that are bickering, unless you're the one bickering.
Right, yeah, well, until it's you. Yeah, right. So, any shout-outs, buddy? Anybody you'd like to give a shout-out to or anything like that before we wrap things up?
Well, I gotta say, I'd like to, give a quick shout out to my lovely wife. I mean, she's super, willing, and I mean, hell, I'm gone like almost at least a day every weekend from September all the way down through into January.
Right.
And I gotta give a quick shout out to her because how great she is. I mean, I know the beginning of the seasons and all that, she's like all so ready for, me to bring home some ducks and stuff like that. But by the end of it, she's ready for me to stay home. So
right. Yes, you can actually see it,
I
right?
I don't know what I'd do without her. And,
right.
And then I have a lot of fun with some of my other friends out in, out towards the
down east or towards
the Waterville area,
Waterville. Yeah, okay. Yep.
I'm going to give them a quick shout out there, And then also, my buddy Jesse, if you haven't seen his channel, you ought to check it out. He has a lot of great content.
Yeah, great
and
content.
Everything.
I've watched some of his stuff, and the podcast supports and follows his Maine Outdoors page. And
yep, his handle is mainly outdoors.
Yeah,
he does amazing stuff. So
yeah, he does some really great stuff. I mean, as someone who makes content, he does some great stuff. So. That's awesome, Aaron. Well, thanks, buddy, so much for coming on. Like I said, it means a lot, and I've been meaning to get you on for a little while now, and it's great that everything just kind of worked out, with everything with scheduling and everything like that. So, like I said, buddy, thank you so much, and looking forward to heading up to camp here in a little bit, and looking forward to keeping up with all of you listening. Greatly appreciate each and one of you tuning in every couple weeks here for a new episode of the DuView podcast. Make sure you're staying up to date with us on social media, the DuView podcast, DuView207 on Instagram. Leave a review, rate us some stars here. That would be great. It helps us, or helps me rather fight the algorithms and all that good stuff. So if you could, leave a review, leave a rate, on either, Apple Podcasts or Spotify or even Facebook. That'd be awesome and greatly appreciated. So that being said, guys, keep tuning in for all the DuView goodness, and I'll be back in another couple weeks with a brand new episode. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great week.